Hello, welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 357. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, we got Kevin Rickshaw. Hey, Kevin.
Hi.
It's good to be back.
Sure.
Get back into the swing of things. I was gone for too long.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was in New Zealand for 2 weeks. It was a good trip. I am happy to report that I have as yet contracted coronavirus.
That's good. You probably will now that you're back in New York.
Well, the thing is, so yeah, that's a possibility, just picking it up in New York. But also, I read that it could take up to 2 weeks for the symptoms to show up. So I may be infected with it, and I don't even know.
Ooh,
so
that's true.
It's pretty scary.
Very true.
Pretty scary stuff.
Yeah.
Wash your hands, people. Wash your hands. Hand sanitizer, that's not going to do it. You need to wash your hands. Hand sanitizer is antibacterial, not antiviral. And stop wearing masks if you're not sick. There's a mask shortage, and healthcare professionals can't get masks. So stop wearing them, you dummies. How's that for a PSA?
It's pretty good. I learned a lot.
I want to also just mention at the top of the show, we are aware that South by Southwest has been canceled because of the COVID-19 scare that's happening right now. It's just really sad to think about like all of the talented people who, you know, got accepted. And I can't imagine how it'd be if my film that I worked so hard on got accepted into South by Southwest and it got canceled. Like, I would be heartbroken. Mm-hmm. So my heart certainly goes out to all of the talented people who were going to have things at the festival, who are no longer going to have them. We are still happy to cover anything that was screening there remotely. You can send us an email and we'll be sure to get back to you and we can work out the details. But I would really love to continue to provide remote coverage for anybody who had anything screening there. So just you can shoot me an email directly at adam@filmpulse.net and we'll get the details worked out. This week on the show, we'll be reviewing Bacurau. We'll also be going over someone watching on the watch list, new releases in theaters, VOD, and Blu-ray. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That'd be super helpful. I think we can just jump into our review. I don't really have too much housekeeping stuff to go over. The February newsletter will be coming out as you're listening to this. So by the time this comes out, the newsletter will be out. If you're not subscribed to our newsletter, you can do so on the website. Also, I haven't really talked about this, but we now have filmpulse.com. So you don't have to go to .net anymore. You can. It's still there. But we also have the .com domain. So I'm very pleased that we finally got that in our possession.
I'm going to try it right now.
Yeah, it works. It's there. It's working. All right. Let's talk about some Bacurau. I have a synopsis here. After the death of her grandmother, Teresa comes home to her matriarchal village in a near-future Brazil to find a succession of sinister events that mobilizes all of its residents. This is directed by Juliano Dornelles and Kleber Mendoza Filho. My first question for you, Kevin, is did you know the gist of this going into it? Because I saw this back I think I saw it at the New York Film Festival. And when I saw it, I had no idea. Like, I didn't know what it was about at all. But I had heard some rumblings that it was something to look for. What was your familiarity with it going into it?
I'm glad you asked because I got very confused. Because one, I didn't really know anything about this movie. I saw Filho's first film, Neighboring Sounds, which I enjoyed immensely. I haven't seen Aquarius, but I've heard good things about that. So I was pretty excited for Bacurau, just knowing that he's the director, right? So I didn't really know anything about it. I Googled it, and the only reason I Googled it was just to see how long it was. I just wanted to know what I was getting into, right, runtime-wise. So if you Google Bacurau, and on the right-hand side here, Google comes up and with all the little stuff. This is the synopsis that they give, which I read real quick. And I was just like, oh, okay. So it says a filmmaker decides to travel to a village in the interior of Brazil to make a documentary. As days go by, he begins to discover that the locals are not exactly what they appear to be and hide dangerous secrets. Is
Just
that the movie?
for our listeners who haven't seen Bacurau yet, that is not what happens.
It's not at all.
That's not even close. That's not even close to what like, you know, a lot of these like poorly written IMDb synopses are like at least in the ballpark. They're at least somewhat relevant, but that is like completely objectively false.
So this is the only thing I've read before I hit play on Bacurau. All right. So there was, for a long period of time, I was just thinking, when's the documentary thing start?
So now,
and you know when Tony Jr. shows up,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, film it. I was like, wow, they really took a long time to get to the documentary thing, and then that just came and went, and I was just like, I don't think this documentary is happening.
So you weren't. It wasn't that you just went into the movie cold. You were completely misinformed about what the movie was.
100%. Yeah.
You were like even further than going into a movie without knowing anything. You were told everything wrong.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, it does take place in a remote Brazilian village.
Mm-hmm.
That happens. I mean, I guess you could say that there are secrets in the village.
Yeah.
They're holding some secrets.
But not really. It's just that no one goes to the museum.
Right. I was going to say, I mean,
it's on full display.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, you can see their secrets. They have them in the museum, like that you can look at. Oh my God. Anyway, what did you think of Bacurau?
Well, in terms of the filmmaker making the documentary, it's fucking terrible because none of that happens. I think it's just awful. But what I did get was really fucking great, and I loved it. I was just really confused for a long time, which it might have helped. It might have actually helped.
Maybe.
It might have actually helped with the experience of this movie because I think like I was already confused, and then the UFO shows up. I'm just like, wow, there's fucking aliens too.
I was just gonna say, when the flying saucer shows up, you're just like, okay, now this took a hard right turn. What am I watching here? What's going on?
Yeah, it was something else. But I think it did a pretty fantastic job of like it gives you just enough information about, you know, like this village, what's going on in this village, and there's this little bit of a mystery, and then they give you, you know, they tease out some with the international group of like hunters or whatever the hell they are, which I mean, and I was just hooked. I was absolutely hooked, and I couldn't wait. And I love movies like this where it's kind of like a Seven Samurai type, where there's like a small village bands together to fight off intruders.
Yeah, it reminds me of Tremors.
I love that. Love it.
You say Seven Samurai, I say Tremors.
You say Tremors. Someone make a movie that's half Tremors, half Seven Samurai.
Hell yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very satirical movie. It is. I love it for all the same reasons that you said. I love the idea of this small, close-knit village banding together to fend themselves from these invaders, these like white asshole colonialist style invaders that are coming in trying to kill them for really reasons unknown. I mean, I guess it's for sport, but with that being said, like I don't even know how much we should be giving away. Like I don't know how much of this they try to keep under wraps.
Yeah, I mean, and it's an interesting thing too. Is like I could tell you everything, but I think you would still enjoy the hell out of watching it. Like I don't know if you can necessarily spoil it per se.
No,
perhaps some of the things.
I mean,
but I mean, early on they pretty much show you, you know, Udo Kier, his band of hunters, which also completely. I was not expecting to see Chris Dobek and Johnny Mars in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So them showing up, I was just like, wait a second, what the fuck is going on?
I didn't even know when I saw this. I didn't even know Udo Kier was in it. So that was a surprise to me too. I was like, what? What's he doing here? Now, since then, like the poster, the really great poster, by the way, came out, and he's like front and center on that. But yeah, I think everything about it is great. There's some really it's darkly comedic. There's some really funny, strange moments in it, but it's done in a really sort of astute way where the comedy in it's pretty understated, but at the same time, there's a lot of kind of shocking moments of violence in it as well. It doesn't seem it doesn't seem to take itself too seriously, which I appreciated too, but it doesn't go like full on the other way. Like The Hunt, for instance, a movie that we're going to be talking about in the release section of this episode. The Hunt looks like it's pretty much all just comedy, like goofy, like dark comedy, and it doesn't swing that way completely. It straddles a nice line between tragedy and comedy.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how to feel about the character of Lunga, if he's supposed to be funny or what, because he made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Lunga is, pretty fucking incredible. When you finally get introduced to Lunga becomes a part of the fight. I mean, my God, he goes off.
Incredible mullet.
They unlocked something there. They unlocked something in Lunga. And I love too, like at the end where they're like, do you think Lunga went too far? And Teresa's just like, no.
Yeah.
No, he did not.
Yeah, so you don't really, the setup is very interesting. So like a lot of the synopses that you'll see online just say like it's a remote village, and one day they come to discover that they've been wiped off the map. Like their town has been erased from all maps. And
yeah,
I think that's a really intriguing setup. And then you have this scene where it's literally like a flying saucer in the air, and you're just like, well, what is this? What is going on here? Now, to be clear, it's a lot more grounded than what that sounds like. There aren't actual aliens or anything in it, but it hooks you. It hooks you very early on. I mean, even in the opening scene when we have Teresa, played by Barbara Colin, when she's riding to the town in that water truck, and you're like, why is she riding in a water truck? Why are there coffins all over the ground? What happened to that guy on the side of the road? He looked like he was dead. Why are they being shot at? Like, there's so many questions that get raised really early on that it just really hooks you in. And then on top of that, you start to get introduced to all of these really interesting characters that inhabit this town. And I think that just all of these individual pieces make up for a really just wildly entertaining movie. I mean, I saw it now, like I see, tons of movies all the time, and the movies will very quickly leave my brain and I'll forget about them. But this was one that like stuck with me. Almost every scene stuck with me, even though it's been almost a year since I've seen it. Rewatching it for this show, I was just like, I just remembered everything, and that's kind of rare. And I think that kind of tells me that this is something special that you should be seeking out.
Yeah, and I love these types of movies where you have just on the surface level, just in terms of what's there happening, in the narrative. It's a highly entertaining film, just on the surface. Even if you have no understanding of the socio-political climate of Brazil and like what this is satirizing, all that, if you're completely ignorant to all that, you can still enjoy the hell out of this movie. But then everything that's happening underneath that or involved with that, the layers to it, just really takes it to a different level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% agree.
And I think my favorite scene is when they when Johnny Mars does someone finally goes into the museum and kind of you kind of realize what their history is, and you're just like, oh yes,
Yeah, because it's on at that point.
mm-hmm.
Like you know that it's on, and these people they're gonna get it. They're gonna get their just desserts from this. Johnny Mars's character Terry, I thought he was an interesting character because at first you're like, oh well, he seems to be someone with a conscience. Like he's with these people, but he really sort of went after that one of the other guys for killing a child, but then as quickly as we're like sort of sympathizing with Terry, he like, I don't know if it's the next scene or if it's very shortly after, where he's telling the story about how when his wife left him, he was gonna kill her, and then he wanted to go shoot up a mall and all this stuff, and you're just like, oh, okay. Actually, I do hate him. He is.
Yeah,
he is awful.
They're all insane. They're all insane. They're all psychopaths.
They are. There are no redeeming qualities to any of these people. They're all just awful.
100%.
And it's very specifically designed to be like that too.
Yeah.
I guess my only criticism is I wanted it to be longer, like the finale, like the showdown.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be prolonged a little bit. I feel like, some of these people, they went too quickly. Like I wanted to, I know maybe it sound a little morbid or whatever, but I wanted to savor it a little bit more.
There was an interesting piece to this, or, is a certain level to this, is the use of technology in this movie, where the hunters have all this ridiculous tech. They have the earpieces, which we're never quite sure who the hell they're listening to, or they're getting instructions or what, and who it's coming from. And I enjoyed that they kept that in the dark throughout the movie. And then they have their little see-through card things that would translate and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
they have the drone, all this shit, and this village has the very, very low tech, where it's they have a lookout at the edge of the village, and that would relay to the cell phones of every single person. Whenever they were saying, oh, there's two people on motorbikes coming, and every single person in the village, their phones going off at the same time, and how they're just able to utilize the technology that they do have to overpower these guys, even though they have, ridiculous high tech stuff.
Yeah. And also they, they're just a small village minding their own business for the most part. And you have these people coming in trying to, kill them. So
yeah,
you have doctors and stuff. Although I did find it funny that a lot of these villagers, the one of the main guys he was a straight up killer. He was a hitman, and everybody in the town knew it, and they were cool with it. They accepted him. And I think that's the big takeaway from this, is the familial quality of this village, where everybody knows everybody, everybody's friends with everybody. Sure, there's drama that's happening, but they have each other's backs. Even I'm not sure what was going on with Lunga. It seemed like he was wanted for something, and he was hiding out in a dam. And
well, what's his name? Tony Jr. running for whatever he was running for, mayor.
The mayor, yeah.
I can't remember, but he cut off the water supply to the village.
Mm-hmm.
So Lunga took that shit back, and that's why they were able to fill up the water.
Because he took over the dam.
Lunga he controlled that dam, and that's why they loved Lunga when he came into town, because Lunga's helping them out water-wise. Because it also plays into that too, which is a fun thing for me, is that this got me into looking up banditry. Was a huge thing in Brazil, especially the northeast part of Brazil. Just a huge history of bandits, which is this is kind of drawing from in the sideways shooting of the rifles.
That scene.
Yeah, you. that was quite that was a surprise.
Yeah, there's some pretty shocking moments in this movie. It's great. It's really great. Highly recommend checking it out. Any final thoughts on this before we give it a score?
I would say, like, as of right now, this is, I know it's early in the year, but this is, one of my favorite films of the year. I fucking love this thing.
Same here. Yeah, same here. I imagined you were gonna like it. I didn't think you would. You seem to love it more than I expected. So I'm happy to hear that.
Good.
Also, I mean, we didn't really talk about the cinematography. Some really great camera work in this. My one question to you is that they use a lot of wipes in this, and I know that you historically don't like wipes.
No.
How did you feel about that?
It felt great. Enjoyed it.
I don't
know. It felt like a throwback, where it's kind of like playing into because it feels a lot like a spaghetti western.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that. Wipes seem to work really well. I don't know why this is, but to me, they seem to work a lot better in movies where you're outside in very hot environments. For some reason, that transition works better.
Is it like evocative of like wiping your brow or something? Like what is it?
I don't know.
Because as soon as you said that, I was like, yes, that's what it feels like.
I don't know.
It does work fantastically.
I don't know if the visual cue of the wipe sort of evokes heat. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something more simple than that. Maybe it's the fact that the first time I ever saw a wipe was probably in Star Wars and like on Tatooine, and that just evokes those memories in me sort of subconsciously. I don't know, but it works. I thought all the camera work and stuff was really solid in this. I thought the POV shots from the drone I thought weren't great, but that's a nitpick more than anything. Like I didn't like the whole like the user interface thing that you saw from the POV of the drone. Like I just didn't think that looked great, but again, that's a nitpick. Typically in movies when they show like it happens a lot in horror movies where like somebody's recording, they have like a little camcorder or whatever, and the audience sees like the UI on the camera, like the record logo and stuff like that. I hate that because to me, that's not immersive. That pulls me out of the immersion because I'm like, if you're recording it and we're watching the recording, why would we see like the settings and all of that stuff?
Yeah, true.
Again, in this movie though, it didn't really bother me. It was just something I thought about. But other than that, I thought all the cinematography, all the camera work was really solid. Looked quite good. Lots of really cool like crash zooms and stuff in it.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and give it a score. Kevin, what are you going to give Bacurau?
Oh, well, this is a tough one. I'm thinking like 8.5.
Wow. I'm sitting at an 8 on this one. Really, really solid. This is playing in limited release right now. So if it's playing in your area, definitely check it out. Hopefully this will be out, on digital soon, I would imagine. I think Kino Lorber's put this out, I think. Yeah. All right. Let's move on, talk about someone we're watching on the watch list.
Yeah.
It's been a few weeks, but I have a couple things here. Even though I was on vacation, I got a chance to check out a few things. So, Kevin, we'll start with you. What do you got going on?
First, I'm going to start with a documentary that's currently playing on Movie. As we're recording this, you have 20 days to watch it if you have a movie. I highly suggest you do, because this is currently one of my favorite movies of the year. Back to back, man. Bacurau. And this one, Talking About Trees, is the name of it. Talking About Trees. Directed by Suhaib Gasmobari. It's a documentary about these veteran filmmakers from Sudan, right? They made films in like the 60s and 70s, and then because of the strife there in Sudan and the censorship, that's the word. They completely lost like movies. Film houses got shut down, everything. So what these guys are trying to do is they're trying to bring that back to Sudan, right? So they find this cinema house and they're going to try and revive it. So it's these guys hanging out, just going through them, finding the movie house, kind of cleaning it up. They go to like a soccer game and stuff and like do surveys as to like what people would be interested in, what movies they should show. Then they do some like test runs of showing some movies, which is great because what they use is they use Windows Media Player and a projector.
Nice.
And they show like they'll show Charlie Chaplin movies, some of their movies that they made back in the 60s and 70s, which you get to see like little clips of, and I need to find those because they look amazing. But what they end up deciding on is because the part of the survey was like, oh, we need like an action movie. So they decide the first movie that they're going to show is Django Unchained.
Nice.
So they make up flyers, they do everything, but of course they run into problems. They run into issues with censorship and everything, and so it's kind of like a little bit of a history of Sudanese cinema, like the movies that these guys made. It's a fantastic documentary about their friendship, like of these guys just hanging out and kind of goofing off and trying to make this all happen. And it's just like, it's incredible. It's such a good documentary. It's one of these things where it's like a really, really simple thing, but when you're, sitting and watching it, you realize that it's about like so many different things. It's just like the scope of it is huge, but at the same time, it's just very, very small scale.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to definitely check this out before it leaves Mubi, and that's talking about trees. I'll start with a big one. I saw The Invisible Man while I was in New Zealand. The multiplexes in New Zealand are pretty much the exact same as they are here. I was kind of hoping for, I don't know, something different, something unique. But
that'd be fucking wild.
It's pretty much the same. I saw this. They had like early screenings of this in New Zealand. So when I went, it was during the day, and there was like 2 other people in the theater with us. So that was kind of cool. And I saw it in an IMAX, and it was actually a true IMAX screen, which I hadn't seen it like a movie on a true IMAX screen. Because like AMC and a lot of these other chain theaters will have quote unquote IMAX, but it's not like the full IMAX screen. It's like a smaller version of the IMAX screen. Mm-hmm. Well, this was the real deal. This was like the 3-story high screen. And what a great way to see The Invisible Man. This movie's incredible. I had pretty high hopes for it. I'm a big fan of Lee Whannell, and the premise of this instantly hooked me. And as I've mentioned before on the show, The Invisible Man is my favorite of the Universal monsters. I have that Universal Monsters box set with all the Invisible Man movies. I've watched all of them. Love Invisible Man, and I think that this is a really, really great interpretation of the classic story that's brought into the modern day, and there's a really great, relevant spin on it where Elizabeth Moss plays this woman who escapes an abusive relationship, and her ex turns invisible and starts torturing her while invisible. And it is absolutely terrifying. It is incredibly shot, as you might expect if you've seen Lee Whannell's other movies, if you've seen Upgrade or even The Mule. He has a knack for really interesting camera shots and things, and that comes across in this as well. One little thing I liked about this is that when you see the trailer, a lot of what you see in the trailer is not actually in the movie. So I don't know if they cut things or if they shot specific things for the trailer, but a lot of the big surprises and stuff are not revealed in the trailer. There's things that happen in that trailer. Like specifically, there's like the scene in the trailer where she's in the shower and the handprint, like the palm print goes on the shower door. Like that doesn't happen in the movie. So really great. I have a full written review for this up on the site, so you can read my thoughts in more detail if you'd like. But Kevin, you should definitely check this out before the end of the year. I would recommend seeing it in the theater too, because sound plays such a huge role in this. Because obviously you can't see him, and you know they don't do this like. I remember when they were talking about this whole Universal rebooting all the Universal monsters, and I think Johnny Depp was in talks for The Invisible Man, and I was thinking like, what a shit show that would have been, because if it was Johnny Depp, we would see Johnny Depp more than he would be invisible. You know what I mean? Like he would be visible more than he would be invisible. And in this movie, the Invisible Man, played by Oliver Jackson Cohen, he's invisible almost the entire movie. Like he's just straight up invisible 99% of the time. And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And because of that, because he's pretty much invisible the entire time, everything is based on sound. And there's a lot of these, like, there's really great, like, Lee Wanell does a lot of like really wide shots, like where Elizabeth Moss will be in like one side of the room, but the whole room will be in frame, and you'll just be scanning the room because you know he's there. Like, you know, he's somewhere in the room. So it's almost like a game. Like, it's so tense because you don't know where he is. She doesn't know where he is, but we all know he's there. And you'll just like catch something out of the corner of your eye. Like, oh, did that move? Did that thing move? Is that where he is? And so it adds to the tension, and it's so well done. So well done. So highly recommend Invisible Man. Check it out.
I'm glad to hear that, because I feel like that's one thing in horror movies that hasn't been utilized enough is, you know, a whole utilizing the entire frame.
Oh yeah.
Like the edges of a frame. Yeah.
I mean, and he does it a lot in this too, where it'll be a nice wide shot and you're just like, there's something in this frame. Like it's almost like you're just scanning and you're like, I think I just saw that chair move a little bit. And also, like, because he's not a ghost, right? He's a person. He is a physical person. He still has mass. So you can sometimes hear like the floorboards creak just a little bit, or you can hear like maybe you heard him breathe a little bit. And that happens a lot, where it'll be like she'll be in the room and you'll just hear like a slight breath. And you're like, well, that wasn't her. That definitely wasn't her. And she's the only one that we can see in this room right now. So he's there because we just heard him like exhale a little bit. It's great.
Look forward to it. I finally got to see Losing Ground, directed by Kathleen Collins. This is a movie I've been trying to see for quite some time. Came out in 1982. This is, along with Kathleen Collins' only other film. She only made 2, unfortunately. Both of them are on the Criterion channel right now, so you can check those out. And especially Losing Ground, I highly suggest that you do that. This is pretty fantastic. Great performances. Got Surratt Scott playing the main character, Sarah, she's a university professor who's working on a paper about like experiencing ecstasy in terms of like religion or philosophical. And what she ends up doing is she kind of like gets obsessed with experiencing it for herself. And she's married to Bill Gunn, who's like this spontaneous, like free spirit painter. And he sells a painting of his to a museum, and he celebrates. They got some money, so they rent this immaculate house, and they kind of spend the summer there. But it's also about the marriage falling apart. So guess what? Marriage starts to fall apart, mostly because Victor's a piece of shit asshole, and he gets obsessed with his new muse, and essentially just treats his wife like shit, and he kind of becomes obsessed with this other woman. And it's really interesting the way that it progresses throughout the movie and just kind of constantly changes and shifts from what like the focus is. And it's just a shame that she really only got to make 2 movies. So I think she ended up dying in like 1988 or something like that, breast cancer. Because, I mean, this is essentially her first film. Because her film before that was like 50 minutes long. So it's one of those like not quite features.
Yeah.
You know, like 3 short films stacked. But I mean, in terms of a debut, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal for this to be a debut.
Nice. And that's Losing Ground. I saw a debut, and that's Blood on Her Name. This is directed by Matthew Pope. And this is it's a neo-noir about a woman who, the movie opens with her standing over a dead body. She clearly has killed this man, but we don't know anything really about who he was, what happened. It seemed like there was obviously some kind of altercation because her face is all messed up, but we're not sure what happens. We see her getting rid of the body, but then she ends up feeling remorseful that she did this. So she finds the guy's wallet, gets his address, and then puts him in his shed and writes a note to his family saying, I'm sorry, he's in the shed, and puts that in the mailbox. And then she realizes that she lost her necklace, and she thinks that she left it around the body. And it's just one thing after another of like just terrible things, terrible decisions, terrible circumstances. Everything goes wrong in this movie. There's not a single thing that goes right in this movie. It's just one shit thing after another. And this screened at, I think it was like Fantasia Fest, or it was a festival last year, and I had the opportunity to see it, and I thought to myself, it looks okay, but it looks a little, I don't want to say low budget, but it looks a little like kind of amateur-y just from like the screenshots that I saw. But I'm glad to say that I was very wrong. This is actually a really well shot movie. There's some really good performances, specifically by Bethany Ann Lind and Will Patton. And it's a really solid little thriller. It's frustrating, to be sure, because of the horrible decisions that they're just constantly making. But it's still pretty good. I have a review for this up on the site as well.
Okay, all right. I got one last one here, and that is I finally got to watch Shoot the Moon Right Between the Eyes.
What?
Which, yeah, this is currently on No Budge. You can watch it for free. Just head on over there, click play. You don't have to pay anything. It's based, kind of like loosely based on Two Gallants by James Joyce and the songs of John Prine. So it's a musical, which is interesting because the way that they do the music is pretty interesting. This is directed by Graham L. Carter, and it's more so if it's just like little performances. Like, the person will just start singing, and it kind of turns into this like little performance. And it worked for me because it's not like your standard musical. And so what it is two older gentlemen played by David Kendrick and Sonny Carl Davis. And these guys they're kind of the petty criminals, the con artists. So they go around town to town. And they kind of swindle women out of their money. So they find someone, lock in on them, and then swindle them out of their money, and then move on to the next town, right? So Morgana Shaw is their newest target, and David Kendrick is working it to try and get the money, but he ends up kind of falling in love with her. Sonny Carl Davis kind of gets pissed off, thinking he's getting double-crossed. And then Frank Mosley, his wife was swindled, and he's kind of playing this role as like a private investigator, trying to like track him down. So it's got a little bit of everything. It's got the musical thing that I already said. It's got the comedy. It's really lo-fi. And it's really interesting. It just, as I was watching it, I'm like, I don't know what I can say this is like, comparatively speaking.
Mm.
I can't really think of too many movies where I'm like, oh, it's like such and such.
Yeah.
It you know what I mean? It felt very new and fresh, just in terms of like budget wise, because you can tell that it's really, really low budget, but man, they make the most of it.
I love that. And this is available on nobudge.com for free. So if you have any interest in checking out Shoot the Moon Right Between the Eyes, you can check it out on there. This was one, I think it was like right on your most anticipated list, at least one year, maybe multiple years.
Maybe. well might have been.
The last one I'll mention was a disappointment. That's Vivarium.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is directed by Lorcan Finnegan. This movie has a really great idea behind it. So you have this young couple played by Imogen Poots and Jesse Eisenberg, and they're heading to they're ready to take the next step. They're looking to buy a house, and they end up meeting with this guy who wants to show them a house in this new development, this like big suburban development. And they go there, and everything is like very like manufactured and manicured. All the houses look the same. The neighborhood is enormous, and everything is just so cookie cutter and very, very like Stepford-esque. You know, just everything just feels off. Everything is way too impersonal, and like all of the like furniture and everything is like, because the houses are like fully furnished, but they're all kind of, everything's green, and it all just looks so fake and plastic. And they're like, the guy's showing them around, and then the guy just disappears, and they're like, okay, well, all right, let's just leave. This place sucks anyway. But they can't get out. So the initial premise is that they're basically stuck. They're trapped in this like suburban hell, and they have no way to get out. Like they drive around until their car runs out of gas. They try just like walking in a straight line, cutting through yards and stuff, and they always end up back at the house that they were looking at. And then all of a sudden, a baby shows up in a box on their doorstep. And so you think like, this is all right. I'm interested. Let me see what you got going on. But where it goes and how it gets there, it's just not great. It's pretty bland, unfortunately. I should be working on a review for this closer to its release, but initial impressions on Vivarium, yeah, not great. This comes out March 27th, by the way.
Well, it's unfortunate because I was intrigued by this.
Mm-hmm.
I was intrigued, but there was this part of me, this little nugget of me in my brain that was like, Kevin, this is going to be really bland.
I've noticed that when you have a movie with one very simple, like small premise, it's hard to develop a full length feature out of it. Like, I think another good example is the In the Tall Grass, the Netflix movie that was based on the Stephen King book. Like, that's a great premise. Two people, couple, they just get stuck in a field and they can't get out. Like, but again, the same thing with that one is like, when you have this really great like seed of a movie, it's really hard to deliver on it. Like, how are you going to develop this really interesting idea and have the payoff be better or as interesting as how you begin? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially like you can't sustain it.
Yeah.
The longer you go, the more it wears off. It's just like, okay, this is kind of repetitive. It's at one note, like we get it. You're stuck in a field.
Yeah, exactly.
Touch rock. Just I have to touch rock right off the bat.
And
hey, here's this rock, touching it. What's up?
And there's a lot of like weird stuff that happens in Vivarium, but it just never really coalesces into something that's can live up to the way it begins, frankly.
Gotcha.
All right, let's take a look at what we have in theaters this week. We got Bloodshot coming out. This is the one with Vin Diesel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I am assuming you have zero interest in this one.
Zero.
There was like that one little 2-second thing where it showed Vin Diesel getting his face blown off and then reversing. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, okay. All right. I'm not super familiar with the Bloodshot character. It's based on a Valiant Comics character, I believe. And I was never really into Valiant Comics growing up, but I was kind of interested in it. But then the trailer, like the full-length trailer came out, and I was like, nah. And then I saw it was rated PG-13, and I'm like, definitely not. I'm not into what Bloodshot's trying to sell me here. We also have The Hunt coming out finally. This is the one that got delayed for an indefinite amount of time because it was supposed to come out right when there was a mass shooting. I can't remember which one at this point. There's been so many since then.
Yep.
I'm not even sure which mass shooting it was.
That's the country we live in.
Yeah. Either way, I'm actually pretty interested in The Hunt. Looks somewhat similar to the movie that we talked about today.
Yeah. I doubt if it's good.
Well, yeah, definitely. We also have I Still Believe. What is I Still Believe?
Still believing. Please be a Christian.
One love can change your life. One life can change the world. From the creators, from the creators of I Can Only Imagine comes an inspiring love story for the ages.
Yes, Christian music star.
Yep.
Jeremy Camp.
Keywords on this one: Christian contemporary music.
What is that?
So there you go.
Plot keywords just based on a true story. That's it. That's all they got.
Wow. I saw there was that I Can Only Imagine movie was on TV one day, and I hovered over it for I stayed on the channel for like 5 minutes just to see, just morbid curiosity, and it happened to be right at the end when he actually sings the song, and it was oh my god, it was so bad. Oh, it was just as bad as you would imagine, maybe worse, maybe even worse.
Wow.
We also have My Spy coming out. This is the one with Dave Bautista, a family comedy, little action.
They always got to get the muscular guy in a comedy with a little kid.
Yeah.
Give him alongside that precocious little kid.
Yep.
Just raking those laughs.
Gotta have those. The trailer did make me laugh. There was one bit in the trailer when she knocks over the goldfish ball. That made me laugh. Limited release this week, we have Big Time Adolescence. This is the comedy with Pete Davidson. We have Cruel Peter. Got the dog doc coming out. And you'd think, like, initially you're like, oh, it's a documentary about dogs. And it is a documentary, but it's about a dog doctor.
Wait,
Yeah.
What?
The dog doc.
Wait.
Not documentary. Doctor.
Yeah, but is it a dog that's a doctor?
No. It's a doctor. Oh. It's a doctor who helps
You're talking
dogs.
About a vet.
Yes.
A vet. They could just call it vet.
The dog vet?
Just, come on. I was always saying, I thought it was going to be a dog that's a doctor.
No, I don't.
Which would have been awesome.
I think he it's about a vet who practices holistic medicine for dogs. So
okay.
Who knows?
All right.
Let's see what else we have here. Human Nature. We got The Informer coming out. Inside the Rain. Lost Girls. Mom, which stands for Mothers of Monsters. That's pretty much it for.
What about Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always?
Oh yeah, sorry, I missed that one.
Probably going to be the best movie out of all these things right here.
Yeah, Focus is putting out Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, which the movie looks great. That title, like, I get the title and I kind of appreciate the title, but at the same time, it's like it's a mouthful.
Well, and did you see that there's another movie too that came out just around the same time that's kind of the same?
No.
I can't remember what it is though, but it's like Sometimes, Never, Always, or something like that.
Oh God,
it seems like it's just rude. It's rude. Shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. Yeah, that one's coming out. That's definitely one that I'm interested in. Tuscaloosa also comes out too. I missed that one as well. On VOD this week, let's see, on the 10th, we have Stuffed, which is a documentary about taxidermy. So
that could be interesting.
Maybe.
Could be.
We have Transference, which sounds like maybe a sci-fi horror movie. Not too sure. We got Shepherd, which is a horror movie. We got The Alpha Test, which is a horror movie. We got Tuscaloosa coming out on the 13th. And that's all I have for VOD. However, I will say that I haven't been updating the calendar because as I said, I've been gone for the last couple of weeks. So there might have been some movies that got announced that I didn't get to add to the calendar yet. I'm still playing catch up for that. On Blu-ray this week, we got Uncut Gems. I'd recommend checking that out if you haven't yet. We got Beauty and the Beast coming out on 4K. That's the animated Disney one. Looks like the live action one is also coming out on 4K as well. Bombshell is coming out. I'd probably not recommend that one. Good performances, but overall I was not into that. The new Charlie's Angels one from last year, the Elizabeth Banks directed one, is coming out on Blu-ray. Looks like A Quiet Place is getting a new 4K steelbook from Mondo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Watch out.
In preparation for the new one, I'm sure. Spies in Disguise comes out. That was the animated one with Will Smith. Inseminoid from 1981. Never heard of this, but now I'm intrigued. Shout Factory's putting that one out. A group of scientists are working in a lab located on a distant planet. One of them, Sandy, is attacked, raped, and impregnated by a monstrous creature. She then begins to stalk her colleagues one by one, killing them and drinking their blood.
Okay.
All right. I'll check out Inseminoid. Bug from 1975 is coming out. That's also going to be on Shout Factory. Let's see. Lose from... it says 2018, but didn't that come out last year? Pretty sure that came out last year. Lose. We covered it on the show. The Witch Subversion is coming out. Masked and Anonymous from 2003 is coming out on Shout Factory. Inherit the Viper from last year is coming out. Little Joe, which I was a little disappointed with, is coming out. The Ascent, which is a horror movie. The cover, I'm sure the movie's bad, but the cover is very creepy looking. It's like a person's face, but it's like there's like holes in it, and it's like an upside down cross. There's like fingers coming out of the holes, and his face holes. I think people that have tryptophobia will definitely be triggered by this cover. Kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. Yeah, Shepherd's coming out on Blu-ray, and that's pretty much it. What do we have on Criterion this week?
We have one. That's a documentary, Salesman from 1969. Getting a re-release. They've had this on the collection for a while. High definition digital transfer. There's a couple of Blu-ray only. One is a appreciation from Bill Hader, and then an episode from Documentary Now that parodied the Salesman movie with Hader and Fred Armisen.
Yeah, I think theirs was called The Globesman, where they were traveling around selling globes. I think that was the plot of that.
Yes,
it was so
you are
good.
correct.
I never saw Salesman. I did see Globesman, so I do want to see this. Yeah, I definitely want to see this. All right, I think that is going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at FilmPulseNet and at FilmPulseKevin. You can send us an email at podcast@filmpulse.net. And if you have a minute, please consider reviewing us on your podcast platform of choice. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.